Good evening, everyone. Warm welcome to your own channel, your favorite session, that is Finance Current Affairs on the Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. So before I start with the discussion, may I have a reply in the comment section that I'm audible, visible, everything is fine. We are good to go so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. And I promise you guys, today's session is again one of the most important session for you. This is going to help you a lot in your upcoming examination, and trust me guys, you are going to learn many new things in this particular session itself. ठीक है जी? So I hope we are good to go. And if everything is fine, just give me yes sir so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Just give me yes sir so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay quickly. Okay, before I start the discussion, guys, how many of you know that RBI is a profit earning organization? How many of you even have an idea that yes, RBI can earn profit, or I would say RBI is capable to earn profit? So if you have this idea, if you have this understanding, then today you are going to learn many new things in this particular session itself. So let's get started with the discussion. Good to go guys, we are good to go. Just give me yes sir, voice, audio, everything is fine, nothing to worry. Yes, one important thing which I would like to or I would say a very important announcement, guys. As you all know that RBI annual report is out, and every year there is a scenario that questions are asked from the RBI annual report, not only in phase 1 but also in phase 2, and in phase 2 you can expect 2-marker question in the paragraph format. So annual report is going to be really very important, and we will be discussing the annual report this weekend. I'll inform you on my Telegram channel as well as on the WhatsApp group then when we are going to cover this particular report. But for sure, this weekend we are going to complete the RBI's annual report, and trust me guys, this is one of the most important document which is presented by RBI, and it has a probability that many questions will be asked from this report itself. So without any further delay, let's begin the discussion. Guys, here is the link of my Telegram channel from where you can download the PDF for this particular session itself. I start my discussion with the first news, and the first news is now on your screen. What does the news says? So the news talks about the RBI's latest data on the outward remittance under liberalized remittance scheme declined by 6.85% on year-on-year basis. First of all guys, whenever we use this word remittance, what does remittance means? So remittance basically means when the funds are transferred from one nation to another. For example, if India is transferring the funds to the rest of the world, I would say the Indian residents are transferring the funds to the rest of the world. We call this transfer as remittance because this transfer is done for the purpose of maybe helping one of your I would say your younger brother who is studying outside India. So for the purpose of studies you are transferring the funds, or you are traveling outside India, for that particular purpose you are carrying the funds, that will also come under the category of remittance. Along with this, if you are making an investment outside India, it will also come under the category of investment, under the category of remittance, and this is known as outward remittance. Obviously, if you are remitting the funds out of India, if you are transferring the foreign currency out of India, you need to seek the permission from RBI, because RBI is the ultimate regulator of the forex market. But RBI allows Indian residents to carry $250,000 every year. $250,000 for every financial year. You can transfer this fund, you can remit this fund for the purpose of studies, for the purpose of travel, for the purpose of investment and whatnot. This limit of $250,000 is presented under liberalized remittance scheme, which allows the Indian residents to remit $250,000 every financial year. Even the same limit is allowed for a minor as well. Same limit is allowed for a minor as well, for an individual whose age is below 18 years. For that particular scenario, for that particular individual also, yes, this is allowed. Now, as per the remittances, or I would say the outward remittances which have been done by the Indian residents, RBI has come up with the data, and RBI data says that the outward remittance done by the Indian residents under the liberalized remittance scheme has declined by what value, sir? It has declined by 6.85% with respect to the previous year data. 6.85% with respect to the previous year data. Now, let's read out the news, and I will be highlighting the data which you need to remember. So, the outward remittance under the liberalized remittance scheme has declined by 6.85% year on year basis. And if I talk about the value, so the value is $29.56 billion, which has remitted out from India under the liberalized scheme, under the liberalized remittance scheme, which was $31.74 billion in the last year, and that is the reason we say there is a decline of 6.85%. So, what are the factors which have contributed to this particular decline? So, the first contribution to this particular decline is global uncertainty. We all know that there is a global uncertainty. Earlier, there was Russia and Ukraine, then US came into the picture with a trade war. So all these global uncertainties somehow impacted the international travel. It has impacted the investment done by Indians outside the country. That is the investment in, I would say, the retail investment done by the individuals in stock instruments or in the financial instruments or even in the immovable assets or like that. Then we have stagnant domestic income growth. So if I talk about the stagnant domestic income growth, it basically means we know that India's GDP is increasing. We also know that India has become the fourth largest economy of the world. But if we talk about per capita GDP, it is pretty low. If we talk about income, per capita income, it is pretty low. And not only this, the increase in income on yearly basis is also not very high, because of which we have a very I would say we have a very limited increase in income. If I am an individual, my income is increasing in a very limited value, so I will be utilizing that income in order to counter the inflation pressure, because inflation pressure is also impacting my expenditure. So I would not be having the excess fund which can be remitted easily. That is the second reason why this foreign outward remittance has declined. And the last is high base effect. High base effect is basically related to the depreciation of Indian currency. So Indian currency has depreciated. Because of the depreciation of Indian currency, undoubtedly many of the expenses, many of the investments have been stopped by the Indian investors as well. But surprisingly, in comparison to the financial year data, the data of March 2025 is a bit different. And the data of March 2025 says that in alone March 2025, there has been an increase of 10.65%. If I compare the same with the data of March 2024, and we have witnessed $2.25 billion of outward remittance in the month of March 2025 alone. So this data is for your reference, for your understanding. Now you must be wondering कि ऐसा क्यों हुआ? The reason behind this is growth in international travel. तो March में there was a high growth in international travel, and because of the increase in international travel in March, we have witnessed this particular scenario. अब कोई सोचे क्यों मार्च में ऐसा क्यों? Because March is something we are on the verge to complete our financial year. So business travel increases. Not only business travel, for future financial year project estimation travel also increases. So not only to settle down the current financial year data, but also to project investment avenues for the next financial year, this travel increases. That is the reason this has been witnessed in March 2025. ठीक है जी, समझ आया ये पॉइंट, क्लियर हुआ? सो दीज टू पॉइंट्स, इफ इट इज क्लियर, जस्ट गिव मी yes sir, so that I can move ahead. Now, what does the next point say? The next point says the data noted that most major component of liberalized remittance scheme registered growth except remittance for study. So most of them, they have recorded a growth, but remittance for study abroad and medical treatment, which has decreased by 18.77% and 56.30%. So this is very important. If someone asks you what is the major decline in the liberalized remittance scheme, so the major decline in the remittance scheme is first one, that is 18.77% decrease in study expenses or study remittances, and 56.30 is the decline for medical treatment expenses. If I talk about some of the key findings, please pay attention guys, all these key findings are not mentioned for you that you should learn this data. I'm not mentioning all the key findings with a motive that you will be learning this data. If you ask me, I'm giving you to have a better understanding. I'm giving you to have a better understanding what is happening in the economy. Just for the better understanding, this data has been given. There is no need to memorize it. Whatever is required to be memorized, I'll discuss it with you. Whatever is required to be memorized, I'll discuss it with you. So please pay attention. Overall decline in outward remittance is mainly due to 16% decline in the remitted by students for study abroad. And so we know that what all things you need to remember. First one, outward remittance declined. And what is the decline percentage? Sir, it is 6.85%. Then second thing which you need to remember is reasons of decline: global uncertainty plus stagnant income growth plus depreciation of Indian currency. Third point which you need to remember is, sir, out of the total decline, major decline is for expense which government is expense which public is making for study remittance. Study remittance has declined by 16%. Study remittance has declined by 16%. It has declined by 16%. If I talk about year-on-year basis, so these studies abroad will include two things. One is not only the tuition fees, it also includes the bills related to other aspects which are charged by the institutes. But if I talk about only and only students, remitted by students for studies abroad, so remitted by students for studies abroad has declined. But if I include the families as well, then the total decline is 18.77%. तो आप उसे याद रखिएगा. Second point is second decline is in the international travel. It is in the international travel scenario. So in the international travel scenario, there is a drop of 0.25%. Now you must be wondering कि sir 0.25% का drop है तो आप इसको इतना ज़्यादा limelight क्यों कर रहे हैं? The reason behind limelighting this, the reason behind limelighting is very simple. Because it is one of the major component of outward remittance. That is the reason I'm limelighting it. Next is there is an increase. If I talk about the increase has been witnessed in terms of investment. So whether the investment is done in the movable assets or the immovable assets, we have witnessed that the investment has increased by the Indians. Last point is the funds which you were remitting to your relatives, it has also decreased because we are looking forward for our own domestic survival rather than supporting the relatives outside India. Main reason इन सारी चीजों का अगर आप मुझसे पूछें तो that is major reason is depreciation. Depreciation की वजह से we want inflow of foreign currency rather than the outflow of foreign currency. It's quite obvious. आज 85 रुपीस का एक डॉलर है और अगर वही 85 रुपीस का डॉलर 90 का हो गया तो we won't remit out. But if it decreases and it changes to 70, we will remit out so that against 70 rupees we can have $1 outside India. So that is the reason. Last thing which you need to remember is remittance in the March 2025 outward remittance has increased 30% on month basis. 30% on month basis if you compare it with February 2025, and if you compare it with the year on year basis. If you compare it on year basis, then there is an increase of 10.65%. There is an increase of 10.65%. Remember that family deposits and family maintenance, travel expenses, investment in debt, they all have increased, due to which this jump has been recorded in March 2025. तो ये जो चीजें मैंने लिखी हैं left hand side पे, this is something which you need to remember from the entire news. Now you must be wondering कि सर अगर इतना ही याद रखना था तो आपने इतना दिया क्यों? It is just for your reference, ताकि आप एक बार इसे पढ़ लें. Whenever you read a lot, then these things can help you in descriptive answer writing. While writing a descriptive answer, if you can retain, if you can recall this data, it is very important. But for your MCQ format, this is something more than sufficient. Maza aaya? Is this point clear? If it is clear, just give me yes sir. If you don't know what is liberalized remittance scheme, then I would like to inform you guys. Liberalized remittance scheme basically means the scheme which was introduced back in February 2004, जिसके तहत RBI allow करता है कि all the residents of India, even the minors, they are allowed to remit the funds of value $250,000 per financial year for permissible current as well as capital account transactions. I repeat, this is for resident individuals. It do not include companies, trust and all, because we are talking about an individual, we are not talking about a corporate. Note that in February 2025, Union Budget for the financial year has increased the threshold for tax collected at source on LRS transaction. So for LRS transaction, tax will be collected. Earlier, it was collected at source for a inward remittance of 7 lakhs, but now it will be collected for a remittance of 10 lakh rupees and क्लियर हो गया जी. तो ये एक पॉइंट है जहां से क्वेश्चन बन सकता है, और उसके अलावा ये जो पॉइंट्स मैंने मेंशन किए ऑन द लेफ्ट, दीज आर द एरियाज फ्रॉम वेयर यू कैन हैव a question. There is a probability that a question can be asked. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हो गई बात. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. मार्च में स्टडी पे आपका एक्सपेंस नहीं इंक्रीज हुआ, ना ही आई हैव मेंशन दिस. आई एम जस्ट सेइंग दैट इन मार्च मंथ देयर वाज एन इंक्रीज ऑफ आउटवर्ड रेमिटेंस in comparison to the overall decrease of outward remittance for the financial year 2024-25. और ये increase क्यों हुआ? Majorly because of the international travel. That is it. That is it. I hope, Aditi, it is clear now. If it is clear to everyone, just give me yes sir, so that I can move ahead. If it is clear to everyone, just give me yes sir, so that I can move ahead. Done, guys? Shall we move ahead? Okay. The next news which I'm going to discuss, the next point which I'm going to discuss, I don't know, but I'm expecting that most of you have watched many of the videos on the same topic. Most of you have heard about this particular discussion. Most of you have read about this news in different newspapers and sources. But before I start, I assure you, आज इस सेशन के बाद, अगले 25 से 30 मिनट के बाद, the clarity you are going to have on the topic which I am going to discuss will be top notch, because yesterday, even today, I have seen a number of videos on YouTube, but I was surprised to know and check that yes, this topic is something which is need to be explained in a more detailed manner, in a more, I would say, concept oriented manner. But ठीक है, it was not done anywhere, but I will be doing it for you all, and it will help you guys. It will help you guys for sure. अच्छा, how depreciation, how currency depreciation impacts remittance? बड़ा सिंपल है यार, बड़ा सिंपल है. पहले मैं आपके क्वेश्चन का आंसर दे देता हूँ. Who is this? Saurabh. Saurabh, we have just taken in this manner today. 85 rupees is equals to $1. Okay, I want to travel to US, and I'm expecting that I'm going to spend $1,000 for my entire stay at US. I'm just taking an example, or let's say $10,000 I will be spending when I will be staying in US. So ये जो है, this is the amount I'm going to spend in US. But in India, what will be the value I will be looking forward? Sir, I will be looking forward for 8,50,000 rupees. I was planning to make a US trip, but it got delayed due to some reason. And after few months, I again inquired to go for US trip. Then I realized that I will be spending almost same $10,000 in US, but in rupees, the value has changed to 9 lakh rupees because of the depreciation of Indian currency with respect to dollar. So as rupee depreciate with respect to dollar, it results in decrease in purchasing power of rupee in the international market, which will undoubtedly decrease your capacity to make the expenditure. ठीक है जी? Is it clear now? Is it clear now? If it is clear, Saurabh, just give me yes, sir. Now I will be moving to the next point. अब अगला पॉइंट क्या है वो आपके सामने ध्यान से देखिएगा. The next point is RBI. There was a news कि RBI ने फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2024-25 में something around 2.6 lakh crore rupees has transferred to the government of India. और यहां पे कहा गया this is the surplus transfer. सुना आपने इसके बारे में? It was said that this is the surplus transfer. You must have heard about it. You must have heard about it. ठीक है. अब क्वेश्चन ये है कि सर क्या है ये surplus transfer, कैसे ये डिसाइड होता है, what are the things all around. So please pay attention. I'll first discuss it in this manner. मैं आपको लिख के एक चीज समझा दूंगा and then we will read it quickly ताकि चीजें आपको बिल्कुल क्लियर हो जाए. तो मैं बात करूंगा बैक इन 2018 में एक कमेटी बनाई गई थी अंडर द चेयरमैनशिप ऑफ फॉर्मर गवर्नर. द नेम इज बिमल जलन. और इस कमेटी के चेयरमैनशिप के तहत एक प्रपोजल लाया गया और वो प्रपोजल ये था कि सर वॉट एवर RBI is going to earn, whatever income RBI is going to earn, out of that income RBI will be subtracting its operational expenses. RBI will be subtracting the operational expenses, as well as RBI will be maintaining certain reserves to counter the risk. So RBI is a financial institute, and if this financial institute is involved in a process of investment, lending, borrowing, undoubtedly it get exposed to n number of risk. So there must be some reserves maintained to counter these risks, as well as RBI will subtract the operational expense from the revenue, from the income, and then the net profit which is obtained after making these reserves, after making the operational expenditure, will be transferred to the government. But the question is why the funds are going to be transferred to the government? Because sir, RBI is an organization which is 100% owned by Government of India. If it is 100% owned by Government of India, then it's quite obvious it is the obligation on the company that company should transfer the profit, transfer the surplus amount to the owner, which we call it as dividend. So that dividend, that surplus amount will be transferred to Government of India. But you know what is the best part? When RBI was set up as a company not for profit purpose. If RBI was set up as a company not for profit purpose, that means on RBI's income, no income tax is charged. No income tax is charged, and the entire income after making the operational expense and reserves, the entire net profit will be transferred to the government. Now, in order to overcome the conflict, ये conflict picture में आया कब था? ये conflict picture में आया कब था? ये conflict picture में आया था during the chairmanship of Urjit Patel ji. When Urjit Patel ji was the governor of RBI at that particular moment, government was in need of funds. I'm talking about 2015, 2016, 2015-16 में गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर बहुत ज्यादा लाइबिलिटीज थी, बहुत ज्यादा ऑब्लिगेशंस थी, वेलफेयर एंड ऑल, और उन ऑब्लिगेशंस को पूरा करने के लिए गवर्नमेंट वाज इन नीड ऑफ फंड्स एंड गवर्नमेंट डिमांडेड दैट RBI शुड ट्रांसफर देयर एंटायर income after subtracting the operational expense to the government of India. But Urjit Patel ji was not ready. He said this is wrong. This is not appropriate. RBI is prone to exposed to n number of risks. So there is a requirement that RBI should maintain certain amount as a reserve to counter these risks, and after that the rest of the amount will be transferred to the government of India. Now ये जो conflict हुआ, इस conflict की वजह से, I'm not saying this was the only reason, but yes, it is anticipated that this was the reason. There was a conflict between government and Urjit Patel ji, because of which he resigned before completing his tenure, and he was replaced by none other than Shaktikanta Das ji. So in order to overcome all these conflicts, RBI decided to set up a committee, and the name of the committee is Bimal Jalan Committee. That means under the chairmanship of former governor, Bimal Jalan Committee was set up, and this Bimal Jalan Committee came up with certain recommendations. Bimal Jalan Committee came up with certain recommendations, and these recommendations were accepted and implemented from August 2019. Were accepted and implemented from August 2019, and we call it as economic capital framework. We call it as economic capital framework. तो अगली बार अगर आपसे कोई पूछे what is this economic capital framework, so economic capital framework basically means the framework presented as well as opted by RBI, implemented by RBI, followed by RBI to decide what value of funds are going to be transferred to the government of India as surplus transfer funds. Will be transferred to the government of India as surplus transfer funds. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? Just give me yes, sir. Is this point clear? Just give me yes, sir. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. Now the next point which I have for you all is, as I said that RBI will transfer the funds to government of India, but RBI के पास ये पैसा आया तो आया कहां से, ये मेरा अगला क्वेश्चन है. What are the sources of expenditure for the government of India? So what are the sources of income? What are the sources of income for RBI? If I talk about RBI, guys, as we all know that RBI is involved, or RBI is holding assets like gold in its forex reserves. RBI hold foreign currency assets. RBI buy the government securities from the government. RBI provide loan to the central government, to the state government, to the banks. So these are the assets of RBI which helps RBI to generate income. For example, as we have discussed in a previous session that RBI is having a gold reserve of more than 700 tons, if you remember, out of which more than 500 tons is in India and rest of it is in Bank of England as well as in BIS. Now, today the price of gold, let's say 1 kg of gold price is 50 lakh rupees. I'm just taking an example. And due to the valuation, if the price of gold increases from 50 lakhs to 70 lakhs, undoubtedly, weight of the gold is still the same. Weight of the gold with RBI is still the same, but the value of gold will increase. Say yes or no. But the value of gold will increase. Say yes or no. Second is RBI is holding foreign currency. That means RBI is holding US dollars, RBI is holding euros, RBI is holding sterling pound, as well as RBI is holding foreign currency asset, means foreign currency securities. That means the securities which are issued by the foreign organizations. We know that these assets, these currencies, they are maintained in what? So they are maintained in different forms. And if rupee depreciate, please pay attention, if rupee depreciate in general, then undoubtedly the value of foreign currency asset in rupees, will increase. मतलब क्या हुआ सर, आपके पास मान लो $1 है, $1 80 का था, तो आपका फॉरेन करेंसी एसेट की वैल्यू कितनी थी, 80 रुपीज. नाउ इफ द वैल्यू इंक्रीजेस टू 90, if the value increases to 90, you still have the same reserves, that is $1 only, but the value has increased to 90. So this will again result in, what? So this will again result in, increase in value. Then we have the government securities. So the government securities which are holded, by RBI, their value increases in the market. There is a possibility that the price or the government securities, let's say government को पैसा चाहिए, government ने security issue की, RBI purchased that security from the government, and after purchasing that security from the government, RBI will be earning two benefits. First is value increase, and the second benefit is RBI will receive interest on it. Similarly, if RBI is giving loan to central government, interest income, loan to state government, interest income, loan to banks, again interest income. अब यहां पर दो इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें हैं which you need to understand. The first interesting fact is ये जो इंटरेस्ट है, this I would say this is your real income. Why this is real income? Because this real income is credited into the account. The interest rate will be credited into your account on regular basis. So we call this as realized profit. But on the other side, this valuation which I have mentioned, I have said that the value of gold will increase, I have said that the value of foreign assets will increase, I said that value of government securities increases. So this increase in value of the asset, is not a real income. It is not a real income until and unless you are making the sale. For example, आपने अगर आपके पास जो गोल्ड है, अगर आपने उसको एक्चुअली में सेल किया, that means you are actually receiving the return, actually receiving the profit. On the other side, if you are actually selling the government securities with you, that means you are earning the funds. लेकिन यहां पर पैसा आ नहीं रहा, सिर्फ और सिर्फ घर बैठे ऐसी फीलिंग आ रही है कि हाँ हमारी करेंसी की वैल्यू बढ़ गई. सो दिस इज नोन एज अनरियलाइज्ड प्रॉफिट. नाउ व्हाट डज इकोनॉमिक कैपिटल फ्रेमवर्क सेज? इकोनॉमिक कैपिटल फ्रेमवर्क कहता है कि ये जो रियलाइज्ड प्रॉफिट है, दिस प्रॉफिट विल बी यूटिलाइज्ड to counter three types of risk. I'll explain you which type of risk I'm talking about. And it says that this unrealized profit will be utilized to counter fourth type of risk. So these are the profits which are used to counter the risk. और जैसे ही इन रिस्क को काउंटर करने के लिए प्रॉफिट में से फंड्स को सब्ट्रैक्ट किया जाएगा. So the moment you subtract funds in order to manage or in order to maintain these risk or to counter these risk, you subtract for operational expense. Operational expense का मतलब भैया RBI के employees की salary, RBI is running the branches, RBI is running the regional offices. अगर वो building rent पे है, अगर उसके साथ साथ जो day to day operations perform हो रहे हैं RBI में, उस पे जो भी खर्चा हो रहा है जो कि बहुत कम है, उस ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंडिचर को जो माइनस किया जाता है, देन वी कम अप विद द नेट प्रॉफिट, एंड दिस नेट प्रॉफिट इज बेसिकली प्रोवाइडेड टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया. तो आज का जो हमारा डिस्कशन है वो डिस्कशन इसी पे है कि सर ये जो रिजर्व्स हैं, ये रिजर्व्स कितने होंगे, व्हाट विल बी द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस रिजर्व, व्हाट चेंजेस हैव बीन डन इन दीज रिजर्व्स इन द लेटेस्ट फ्रेमवर्क. ठीक है जी, क्लियर हुआ ये पॉइंट. तो 2018 में बिमल जलान कमेटी आई. बिमल जलान कमेटी ने केम अप विद दिस इकोनॉमिक कैपिटल फ्रेमवर्क, और ये इकोनॉमिक कैपिटल फ्रेमवर्क को 2019 में इंप्लीमेंट किया गया. एंड एट द टाइम ऑफ इंप्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ दिस फ्रेमवर्क देयर वाज वन मोर कंडीशन, एंड द कंडीशन वाज दिस फ्रेमवर्क शुड बी रिवाइज्ड ऑन 5-year basis. It should be revised on 5-year basis. So right now we are in 2025. तो ये जो रिवीजन है, दिस रिवीजन हैज बीन डन. ये रिवीजन जो है 2019 के बजाय 2024 में रिक्वायर्ड थी, बट नो, This revision has been done recently in May 2025. So I will be discussing with you what was the earlier criteria. Then I'll discuss with you what is the change that is done. लेकिन लॉजिक क्या है? लॉजिक ये है कि आरबीआई की इनकम में से कितना पैसा सब्ट्रैक्ट करे फॉर काउंटरिंग द रिस्क, as well as after subtracting the operational expenditure, this net profit will be distributed to the government. और अगर we are following a framework, government cannot challenge, government cannot pressurize RBI to transfer more funds, because now there is a rule, there is a regulation which is ought to be followed in order to decide the amount to be, what sir, amount to be transferred. अब यहां पर कौन कौन से रिस्क है जिससे RBI exposed है? RBI is exposed to few risks which are mentioned on the screen. The first risk which is mentioned on the screen is market risk. Market risk मतलब RBI invest in foreign currency, RBI invest in gold, RBI invest in financial instruments like equity and all. So if RBI is investing in so many instruments, and if the price of these instruments changes, that will result a loss on the RBI, and we will call it as what? That is known as market risk. Second is financial and monetary stability risk. As per RBI preamble, RBI is responsible for maintaining monetary and financial stability, but if RBI is not able to do that, that means there is a scenario of risk because of some unexpected situation like COVID-19 or maybe Indo-Pak war. So during those days, RBI want to maintain the financial stability. For that particular financial stability, RBI need the reserves, and in order to maintain that, or the probability that this stability may not be received or may not be achieved, that probability, that loss is termed as financial and monetary stability risk. Then RBI provide loan to government, RBI provide loan to banks. If any bank or NBFC do not pay back RBI lended loan, then that means RBI is exposed to credit risk. मतलब ये हुआ अगर RBI का लोन, मतलब ये हुआ कि अगर RBI का लोन ही कन्वर्ट हो गया, अगर RBI का लोन ही कन्वर्ट हो गया किस में? NPA में, तो उस केस में भी RBI को क्या होगा? लॉस होगा. Lastly, we have the operational risk. Operational risk means the day-to-day operations which are done by RBI. On day-to-day operations में there could be a probability of loss. So these are the risks to which RBI is prone. If I talk about these three risks, so these three risks are managed with the help of realized. These three risks are managed with the help of realized profit, and this risk is managed with the help of unrealized profit. How? I will be discussing it, don't worry. Unrealized profit and realized profit. यहां तक अगर कोई डाउट है तो पूछ लो, otherwise I will be moving ahead. So can you move to the other slide? हो गया. So even though the value of gold increase, how did RBI make money from gold? हाँ, मैंने वही तो कहा कि RBI अगर गोल्ड को बेचेगा अभिषेक तभी प्रॉफिट होगा, और अगर गोल्ड को नहीं बेचा तो that is not the real profit. And if it is not the real profit, that is the reason I'm mentioning it as unrealized profit. That is the reason I'm mentioning it as unrealized profit. ठीक है. Penalties will be included as a income. I would say the penalty वाला part अभी के लिए I'm giving you as a homework. This is a good question. Tina, it's a good question. So guys, this is a question for you all. Penalty charged by RBI. Penalty charged by RBI is credited in which account? Is credited in which account? Is it credited into the RBI's account or it is credited into the government's account? So this is going to be your homework. I will be discussing this point in the next session. It is a very beautiful question, Tina, but I won't be discussing it today. Sorry for that. How gold value increases? I don't know. Gold value कैसे increase होती है? Gold value increase होती है due to demand and supply. Whenever the demand for gold increases, the price of gold increases. Due to increase in price, the gold value increases, and due to that, reserves value will increase. So do Indian rupees coming from selling foreign exchange comes under the revenue head of RBI and thereafter be the part of? No. No. I would like to discuss this part, the profit wala part, in two forms. Please pay attention. इसमें मुझे लग रहा है थोड़े थोड़े से कुछ डाउट्स हैं, तो वह डाउट्स क्लियर कर देता हूँ. I would love to clear those doubts. Guys, please pay attention. पहली चीज, पहला पॉइंट ये है कि सर आरबीआई प्रिंट दी करेंसी, आरबीआई प्रिंट करेंसी, तो उस करेंसी प्रिंटिंग में आरबीआई का जो एक्सपेंस होगा, expense of printing the currency, that will be the part of operational expenditure, that will be the part of operational expenditure. और जो printed currency है, it will be issued at face value, it will be issued at face value to the buyer, that will be the part of income, that will be the part of income, that will be the part of revenue for RBI. पहला point. दूसरा point है कि सर RBI is holding foreign currency. Let's say RBI is holding $1 and if RBI has purchased this US dollar from the market at 80 rupees 6 months before and now RBI is selling it at 90, so this 10 rupees will be the part of income again. This will become what? So this will become realized profit because actual sale is happening, because actual sale is happening. But if there is no actual sale, only the price has increased, RBI has not sold it, then it will only and only increase in the valuation. It will be only and only increase in the valuation. That increase in valuation is known as unrealized profit. It is known as unrealized profit. बोलो clear है? अब clear हो गया? अब clear हो गया? I hope if everything is clear, just give me yes. Now I'll move on to the next point. Annual report इस weekend discuss होगी. I have already made that announcement. पढ़ लेते हैं जो अभी तक हमने पढ़ा. So recently, I'm talking about in 578th meeting, which held on August 2019, Central Board has adopted Economic Capital Framework. As an expert committee led by Bimal Jalan was set up in November 2018 to review the already existing framework, and now RBI has adopted a new framework on the recommendation of Bimal Jalan, which is known as Economic Capital Framework. The Economic Capital Framework provides a method with the help of which RBI will determine the level of risk provisions, level of risk provisions, level of risk provisions or level of reserves RBI is supposed to maintain, and rest of the amount will be distributed to the government according to Section 47 of RBI Act 1934. Based on Economic Capital Framework, RBI transfer dividend to the government every year. Expert committee has also said that this Economic Capital Framework should be reviewed every 5 years, and that is the reason after August 2019, in May 2025, the review has been done. In May 2025, the review has been done. The outcome of the review considered by Central Board in its meeting held in May 2025 and a revised framework was approved. ठीक है जी, यही पढ़ा अभी तक. अब अगला पॉइंट आता है. RBI profits are categorized into two categories. One is realized profit, other one is unrealized profit. Only a portion from the realized profit is transferable to the government. That means the profit or the income or the net profit or the dividend which is supposed to be paid to the government, that will be paid out of realized profit only. That's true. That's true, because unrealized profit, as the name suggests, it is unrealized. It is just some value in account, but it is not the actual currency. It is not the actual funds which can be utilized. And this can be positive. That will be unrealized profit. It can even be negative. अगर मान लो gold का price कम हो गया in comparison to the previous financial year, so gold valuation will decrease, and if the gold valuation decreases, that will not be an unrealized profit, it will be an unrealized loss. It will be what? Sir, it will be unrealized loss. समझ आई ये बात? समझ आई ये बात? Moving on to the next point. The next point says RBI would be reserves of the RBI would be categorized into two categories. अब RBI के जो reserves हैं, RBI will be maintaining the reserves into two categories. RBI will be maintaining the reserves into two categories. If I talk about these two categories, then my answer would be RBI will be having two reserves. First reserve is termed as First reserve is termed as contingency risk buffer. Contingency risk buffer, as the name suggests, this is the buffer which is supposed to be maintained to counter the risk. What all risks are included in this category? Sir, it include financial and monetary stability risk. Sir, it include credit risk, as well as it include operational risk. So reserves to counter these three risks is maintained under the head, and the name of that head is contingency risk buffer. Second point is revaluation reserve or revaluation balance. So this revaluation balance will help us to counter the market risk. क्योंकि ये जो market risk है, try to understand, market risk is also not actual risk, na? Not actual risk. Why it is not actual risk? Please pay attention. Today you have gold reserves of value 1 kg and the market price is 50 lakhs. Market price is 50 lakhs. After 1 year, the price of the same gold reserve increases to 70 lakhs. You didn't had 50 lakhs earlier. You're not having 70 lakhs today. Earlier you were having 1 kg of gold. Today also you are having 1 kg of gold, but the value of gold increases by 20 lakhs, and this will be termed as revaluation. This will be termed as, or this will be considered as what? So this will be considered as unrealized profit. This will be considered as unrealized profit. Now from this unrealized profit, we will be maintaining the revaluation balance. How this balance is maintained? On one side we are saying that gold price is expected to increase and it will increase to a value of 70 lakhs. On the other side we are expecting that $1 which is of 80, it will fall down to 75. From 80 it will fall down to 75. So on one side we are witnessing a risk of decrease in value, and on the other side we are having a probability of increase in value. So this will be unrealized profit, this will be unrealized loss, and out of this realized and unrealized profit, unrealized profit and loss, we are going to maintain this revaluation balance, which will help in countering this market risk. बोलो यहां तक क्लियर हुआ? Is this point clear? Read it. Let's read it for the same. What does it says? It says that कि सर RBI के जो reserves हैं, they would be categorized into contingency risk buffer and revaluation balance. Realized profit would be used to maintain the contingency risk buffer, and unrealized profit will be used to manage the revaluation balance. RBI transfers surplus to the government from its profit after setting aside contingency risk buffer. So RBI अपनी इनकम में से पहले माइनस करेगा कंटिजेंसी रिस्क बफर. ऑब्वियसली इनकम का पार्ट क्या है? रियलाइज प्रॉफिट ही है. कंटिजेंसी रिस्क बफर असाइड किया, ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंस डिसाइड किया, बाद में जो अमाउंट बची दैट इज नेट प्रॉफिट, एंड दिस नेट प्रॉफिट विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड टू द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एज अ सरप्लस अमाउंट. RBI will maintain this contingency risk buffer. It is country's saving for a rainy day. Rainy day means during the financial stability crisis. RBI will use these funds to manage the economy. RBI will use these funds to manage the economy. Is this point clear, guys? If it is clear, just give me yes. If it is clear, just give me yes, sir. Okay. Now let's try to understand few more important terms related to the same. So the next term related to the same discussion is, what do you understand by the word realized equity? Realized equity. And what do you understand by the word revaluation balance? So I have just gave you the answer regarding the revaluation balance. I just gave you the answer regarding the revaluation balance. What is revaluation balances? Sir, the unrealized gains or net of losses resulting from exchange rate, gold price, interest rate movements on the account of periodic marking to markets RBI's foreign currency asset, gold, or foreign dated securities and rupee securities, that is basically known as revaluation balances. What is contingent risk buffer? So contingent risk buffer is the component of RBI's economic capital required to cover its monetary financial stability, one. Second, to cover the credit risk. Third, to cover the operational risk. And revaluation balances, it is used to cover the market risk. Now, in this particular scenario, we have a term that is known as realized equity. What is realized equity? So realized equity is the RBI's capital, which include RBI's capital, as well as it include reserve funds of RBI, the funds which are reserved with RBI, and it includes the risk provisions. One is contingency fund, and the other one is asset development fund. One is the available realized equity, that what is available with RBI, and second is what is required with RBI. Now, these are the two points which we need to understand, ताकि हमें ये समझ आ जाए कि RBI काउंटर कैसे करता है अपने लॉसेस को, अपने रिस्क को. So realized equity consists of RBI's capital, reserve funds, contingency fund, asset development fund. So as I was saying, contingency risk buffer, which is used to counter credit risk, operational risk, as well as monetary and financial stability risk, is the part of what? Sir, it is the part of realized equity. Along with this, it includes capital of RBI, it includes reserve funds of RBI, as well as it includes the asset development fund of RBI. Is this point clear? So this is known as realized equity. It serves as financial security to cover potential losses and risk, acting as a buffer against market fluctuation, credit risk, and operational challenges. But what is this revaluation balance? So revaluation balance is the unrealized gain or losses arising from changes in the exchange rate. Revaluation balance along with realized equity form the basis of total economic capital framework. So if I include realized equity plus revaluation balance, they collectively termed as economic capital framework. And out of this economic capital framework, once these reserves are maintained, then after maintaining these reserves out of the income, then amount will be transferred to the government of India. Got it, guys? Is this point clear? अगर यहां तक कोई भी डाउट है तो पूछ लो. आपको पता होना चाहिए व्हाट इज रियलाइज्ड इक्विटी. रियलाइज्ड इक्विटी इज व्हाट? प्लीज पे अटेंशन. सिंपल भाषा में कहूं तो रियलाइज्ड इक्विटी इज द कैपिटल ऑफ आरबीआई. इसमें क्या क्या है सर? इसमें आरबीआई की कैपिटल इन्वॉल्व है, आरबीआई के रिजर्व्स को इंक्लूड किया गया, उसके अलावा जो आरबीआई ने कंटिजेंसी फंड रखा है, इसके अलावा जो आरबीआई ने असेट डेवलपमेंट फंड रखा है. दिस इज रिजर्व्ड इक्विटी. What is revaluation balance. So revaluation balance is the pseudo funds, कि आपकी गोल्ड वैल्यूएशन में कितना गेन हुआ, फॉरेन करेंसी असेट में कितना गेन हुआ, उन सबको ऐड करके जो वैल्यू इंक्रीज हुई है, whatever value has increased in comparison to the past value was 100 crores, now it has increased to 150 crores. तो ये जो 50 crores का increase हुआ, लेकिन ये actual fund आया नहीं है. Fund actual कब आएगा? जब you will be making the sale. But this is something your value of asset has increased. We call it as revaluation balance. We call it as revaluation balance. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? मॉनेटरी एंड फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी में क्या डिफरेंस है? देखो, मॉनेटरी और फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी जब ये वर्ड्स यूज किए जाते हैं, whenever these two words are used, that what is a difference between monetary and financial stability, then you need to understand this point in this manner. That's a monetary stability जो है, that basically talks about monetary stability. It basically talks about the factors such as, I would take it in this manner. For example, we have low interest rates, we have high inflation rates. So all these situations, they come under, one second guys. Am I audible? I cannot see your comments. Am I audible? Okay, fine. Whenever we talk about the monetary stability basically talks about, in very simple terms, I would say, price stability. So in case of price stability, the measurement of monetary stability is pretty easy, but in case of financial stability, the measurement is not so easy. Instruments for control is, we have different instruments in case to control the monetary, which is specifically related to the financial part, but in case of which is specifically related to the monetary terms, price, inflation. But financial stability, it includes n number of aspects. It includes the aspects like interest rates, it includes the aspect like flow of funds. So I would say monetary policy, it talks about monetary stability, it is related to monetary policy, interest rate, inflation rates, price stability. Financial stability includes macroprudential policies which counter the systematic risk, such as loan to value ratio, रिजर्व रिक्वायरमेंट्स कितनी होनी चाहिए, काउंटर साइक्लिकल कैपिटल बफर कितना होना चाहिए. सो दीज आर दी टर्म्स विच आर इंक्लूडेड अंडर फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी. तो फाइनेंशियल स्टेबिलिटी इज बेसिकली फॉर द एंटायर फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर, बट मॉनेटरी स्टेबिलिटी इज वेरी स्पेसिफिक टू द मॉनेटरी टर्म्स. ये वो है कंपैरिजन लाइक इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट. समझ आई ये बात? इज दिस पॉइंट क्लियर? ओके, एनी अदर डाउट? Yes, you can watch this session whenever you want. It will be available in the recorded format. Guys, if you haven't liked the session yet, hit the like button. I'll move on to the major point of today's session. The major point of today's session is, so what are the changes which have been done? Now, I will be explaining you what was earlier and what changes has been done simultaneously. So first change which is done, that is done with respect to what? First change which is done, it is done with respect to what? That is the first point which we need to understand. That is the first point which we need to understand. The first point, it talks about the market risk. First point, it talks about the market risk. Market risk का मतलब the risk which is related to foreign currency risk, that is exchange rate risk which is related to gold price risk. They all are the part of this. Now, what the changes have been done? the computation or the calculation of market risk buffer requirement to adopt an integrated approach wherein off-balance sheet portfolio is also included along with the on-balance sheet portfolio. So what it is trying to say, सुनो ध्यान से, इसमें ये कहा जा रहा है, what they are trying to say is, sir, in case of calculating the market risk, earlier calculation was done only and only on the on-balance sheet exposure. On-balance sheet exposure का मतलब we will include foreign currency assets, we will include foreign currency reserves, we will include gold reserves for the calculation of market risk. But इसके अलावा if RBI has not practically purchased gold or foreign currency, but RBI has signed an contract where RBI is saying that on 31st of December, RBI will be purchasing $100 billion for a value $1 equals to 100 rupees. I'm just taking an example. मान लो RBI ने ये contract sign किया. अब अगर RBI ने ये contract sign किया, so this is not actually the part of your balance sheet, क्योंकि ये आपकी balance sheet में कहीं है ही नहीं. अभी आपको future में ये transaction करनी है. This transaction is not done. It will be done in the near future. So if it will be done in the near future, it is a risk which is not mentioned on your balance sheet, and that risk will also be included. I'll take one more point. Let's suppose Government of India signs an agreement with Russia, and government is promising that we will be transferring $100 billion of gold to Russia against I don't know, I'm just taking an example, against 10 trillion ruble. That is the currency of Russia. Ab maan lo in near future the price of dollar changes with respect to ruble, and if government will not be in a position to service it, and Russia was aware of this scenario कि अगर कल को India मुकर गया, India will not be in a position to service this contract, so India asked RBI on the international level to take the guarantee that don't worry sir, RBI is the holder of forex reserve. If India will not do that, on the behalf of India, RBI will do this. So RBI is basically providing guarantee on the behalf of the government. So this guarantee is again your off-balance sheet exposure. So when you include your off-balance sheet exposure as well to calculate the market risk, this is the new introduction. So earlier market risk was calculated only and only on the on-balance sheet risk, but now it is included or it is calculated on the off-balance sheet instruments as well. Easy. Now it is calculated on off-balance sheet exposures as well. Easy guys. Moving on to the next point. Second point under this category says market risk buffer may also include investment in foreign currency assets in minor currency. So earlier the risk was computed only and only for the investment done in the foreign currency assets which are major currencies. Major currencies means I would say the major currencies of the economy. For example, we have US dollars, we have euro, we have sterling pound, we have yen, we have renminbi. These all are the part of major currency. But now if RBI has invested funds in the minor currency, then the risk associated to this minor currency should also be included while calculating the market risk, which was not included earlier. Earlier, the market risk was calculated alone for the major currency only. It was calculated alone for the major currency only. Got it? This is the first point. So what are the changes? So first change is minor currency is included while calculating the market risk. Second is while calculating the market risk of balance sheet risk will also be included, which was not included earlier in 2019, but from 2019. This change has been done in 2025. This is the revised framework of 2025. Second is with respect to credit risk and operational risk, there is no change as such. There is no change as such. What were the conditions? We'll do that. Next point is with respect to monetary and financial stability risk. As you can see, monetary risk, as I just said, or the monetary stability basically talks about price stability, inflation, interest rate stabilities, and financial stability basically talks about loan to value ratio. It basically talks about loan to value ratio. It talks about reserve requirements and whatnot. So these are the areas, or I would say monetary stability and financial stability. These are big responsibilities on RBI, and risk in these categories is going to be pretty huge. So risk in these categories is going to be pretty huge. So in order to get pre-ready, if RBI wants to be pre-ready to counter these huge risks, RBI should maintain these reserves, and these reserves are maintained under the category of contingency risk. It is maintained under the category of contingency risk buffer. So what is the range of this buffer? Please pay attention. So earlier the range was contingency risk buffer only and only contingency risk buffer for market and financial stability risk is required to be what value? So it is required to be 4.5 to 5.5% of RBI balance sheet. Balance sheet means RBI's asset value, total asset value. 4.5 to 5.5% is the range. इस रेंज के बीच में रिजर्व्स होने चाहिए, only to counter monetary and financial stability. ये कहानी थी 2019 में. This was this news, or this was the story in 2019. Now in 2025, this story has been revised. Now it says contingency risk buffer for market and financial stability ratio, is need to be 5% plus minus 1.5%, 5% plus minus 1.5%, which means 3.5% to 6.5% of balance sheet, or I would say of total asset value. क्लियर हो गया? अब पॉइंट ये है कि अगर आज आरबीआई ने इनकम कमाई मान लो 100 करोड़ रुपए, और आरबीआई की जो असेट वैल्यू है दैट इज 1000 करोड़ रुपीस, एंड कीपिंग इन माइंड द करंट सिनेरियो, अगर आज की डेट में आपकी इकोनॉमी स्टेबल है, then RBI is happy with the minimum or the lower band. If economy is not stable, RBI may go for the upper band. Let's say RBI is going for the mid band, जिस पे RBI कह रहा है कि I'll try to maintain CRB of 5% of asset value. 5% of asset value. अगर RBI is targeting to maintain 5% of asset value, which means it should be 5% of 1000 crore, that is 50 crores. This is required. This is something which is required. And today CRB is 30 crores. So CRB currently is what value? Sir, it is 30 crores. But what is the required value? So required value is in this range, and I have taken an example. Let's suppose it's 5%. So it is required to be 50 crores. अब 50 करोड़ रिक्वायर्ड है, बट व्हाट इज करंटली रिजर्व, व्हाट इज द करंट रिजर्व? सर दैट इज 30 करोड़. सो यहां इनकम में से, आउट ऑफ दिस इनकम 20 करोड़ विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड, 20 करोड़ विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड टू सीआरबी. इसमें से हम माइनस करेंगे ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंस, तो 80 करोड़ माइनस ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंस, लेट्स से 20 करोड़. सो 60 करोड़ रुपीज विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड टू द गवर्नमेंट एज सरप्लस as surplus from RBI. As surplus from RBI. Is this point clear? Is this point clear? If this point is clear, just give me yes, sir. If this point is clear, just give me yes, sir. Clear, guys? Okay. If it is clear, so I guess the points which are mentioned on the screen are crystal clear to you. If it is crystal clear to you, just give me yes, sir. कि अब जो RBI, the central board है RBI का, it can maintain the CRB at a level of 3.5 to 6.5% to counter only one risk. And what is that risk? So that is monetary and financial stability risk. Now, if you include monetary as well as financial stability risk, then I would say the range is 3.5 to 6.5%. As I said कि सर जो पहले कहानी थी आज भी वही कहानी है फॉर क्रेडिट रिस्क. सो फॉर क्रेडिट रिस्क एंड ऑपरेशनल रिस्क के लिए collectively the reserve is 1% of the asset value. Collectively the reserve is 1% of the asset value. So therefore CRB for all the three risk, which risk? Market and financial stability, monetary and financial stability risk, credit risk as well as operational risk is of what value? So it is minimum 3.5 and it could be maximum 7.5%. It could be maximum 7.5%. अब दिमाग में आ रहा होगा कि सर पहले कहानी क्या थी? What was the story earlier? If I talk about the story earlier with black pen, so earlier story was 4.5% to 6.5% as of 2019 recommendations, and in 2019 recommendations it is approximately 1% only. This 1% is not mentioned anywhere, it is just the observation which I have came up for you. So it is 1%. अब अगर मैं बात करूं 2019 में, to counter all the three risk, what was the range? To counter all the three risk, the range was 5.5% to 6.5%. So 3.5 plus 1, 3.5 plus 1 is 4%. So 3.5 plus 1 is 4.5%. 6.5 plus 1 is 7.5%. So this is the 2025 targets, and these were the targets which were set in 2019. Screenshot ले लो. Take the screenshot because I'm going to erase it. Take the screenshot because I'm going to erase it. ये एक काम करते, erase नहीं करते. Let it be over here. So it's here only, and this is what I have just written with the pen. This is what is written. This is what is written with the in the words. So in words it says earlier total 5.5 to 6.5. अब कितना है total? 4.5 to 7.5. The same has been mentioned over here as well. Is it clear? Give me a thumbs up, guys. Is it clear, everyone? Give me a thumbs up. ठीक है. अब बचा हमारा एक रिस्क. वो कौन सा रिस्क है? So that is market risk. अब जो बचा हमारा वो कौन सा रिस्क है? So that is market risk. ठीक है. अब देखना जरा. अब मार्केट रिस्क की अगर मैं बात करूं तो इसमें दो चीजें हैं जो आपको समझनी होगी. सबसे पहली चीज आपको समझनी है, दैट इज expected shortfall. It is a measure of potential loss under stressed market conditions. तो जब market conditions stress होंगी, whenever the conditions in the market will be stress, let's suppose today your reserves are of value 1000 crores. These are the foreign currency assets plus gold reserves. I'm talking about RBI, and RBI is estimating that this value may fall down this value may fall down to 990 crores during the stress period. So what is the shortfall? So shortfall is 10 crore rupees, and this is the expected shortfall. This is the expected shortfall. समझ आई ये बात? This is the expected shortfall due to change in the market prices. So central board can now choose to hold the buffers anywhere. So central government bank will choose the buffers anywhere. First, expected shortfall at 99.5% confidence level. 99.5% confidence level का मतलब क्या सर? अगर मैं आपके सामने एक बेल कर्व बनाऊं, तो बेल कर्व में दिस इज समथिंग, आप समझ लो कि एक रिस्क लेवल ये है, दिस इज द कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल, और ये जो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल है, दिस कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल सेज 99.5%, और दूसरा ये है which says the confidence level of 97.5%. अब ध्यान से सुनना, पहले क्या था? अगर मैं पहले कहानी की बात करूं, earlier the story was additional risk provisioning was allowed only if revaluation balances are lower than expected shortfall at 97.5 confidence level. तो इसमें यह कहा जाता था कि for market risk you require reserves are required if expected shortfall at 97.5% is let's say 10 crores, then only is let's say 10 crores, and the revaluation balance is 7 crores. तो अगर revaluation balance 7 crore है, लेकिन expected shortfall 97% कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल या उससे कम कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल पर कितना? 10 करोड़, तो यहां पे ये लॉस होने की प्रोबेबिलिटी है, ये प्रॉफिट होने की प्रोबेबिलिटी है, बट इन ऑर्डर टू काउंटर दिस लॉस you must have 3 crore rupees extra, and this 3 crore rupees extra which is required, it is going to come from, sir, it is going to come from RBI capital. And what is the capital we talk about? Sir, RBI की capital की अगर हम बात करें तो we talk about realized equity. और इस realized equity में we have capital, we have reserves, we have CBR, we have ADF. ठीक है, तो ये जो realized equity है, वहीं से ये जो shortfall है 3 करोड़ का, ये जो कमी है 3 करोड़ की, in the revaluation balance will be credited. समझ आई ये बात? Is this point clear? Give me yes, sir. और अगर नहीं क्लियर हुआ, I can explain it again. If it is not clear, I can explain it again, don't worry. Please pay attention. Guys, I'm saying income is 100 crores. Please pay attention. Asset is 1000 crores. ठीक है? So out of this, what we want? So we have realized equity. In realized equity, we have capital, we have reserves, we have capital, we have CBR, and we have ADF. These are the 4 components. ठीक है? CBR to counter risk such as monetary and financial risk, plus credit risk plus operational risk. What is the reserve required? So the CBR value should be in a range of 4.5% to 7.5% of total asset value कहो या फिर बैलेंस शीट वैल्यू कहो ऑफ आरबीआई. ठीक है, बैलेंस शीट वैल्यू ऑफ आरबीआई. सो दिस इज द रिक्वायरमेंट. करंटली सीबीआर की जो वैल्यू है, मॉनेटरी एक्चुअल वैल्यू है, दैट इज लेट्स से 30 करोड़ रुपीस. Let's say 30 crore rupees, and RBI has decided that as per the current status of the economy, RBI should maintain a value of 6%. If RBI has decided to maintain a value of 6%, to 6% of total asset, 6% of total asset, what is going to be this? 6% of total asset is going to be 60 crores. तो RBI ने कहा we require to maintain contingency buffer of value what? Buffer reserves of value what? So that is 60 crores. But what we have, that is 30 crores. तो भैया यहां से पहले 30 crores क्या होंगे? माइनस हो जाएंगे. 30 crores will be minus from here. This is done. This is sorted. Now we have a second situation. The second situation is, we have a second situation, and the second situation is related to the second risk. Second risk we have is, that is market risk. So market risk basically talks about the estimated shortfall, और ये जो estimated shortfall है, it is calculated highest जो safe से safe होगा वो होगा जब 99.5%, safe से safe होगा जब कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल है हमें हमारी इकोनॉमी पे, वी हैव अ कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल ऑफ 99.5% ऑन आवर इकोनॉमी, व्हिच मींस आवर assets are not going to devaluate much, which means our assets are not going to devaluate much. और यहाँ पर we have a confidence of 97.5%. तो यहाँ पे RBI was saying earlier that we will be countering this shortfall. We will be countering this shortfall only if confidence level is below, 97.5. अब मान लो confidence level is below 97.5 and expected loss is of, or expected risk is of 10 crores. Expected risk is of 10 crores. But on the other side, our reserve balance is having 6 crore rupees. Reserve balance means, sorry, revaluation balance means, as per the revaluation balance, हमारी जो asset value है वो 6 करोड़ से क्या होगी? Increase होगी. But expected risk is 10 crores. Revaluation balance is 6 crores. तो हमारे पास कितने की कमी है? 4 करोड़ की. तो ये जो 4 करोड़ की कमी है, ये 4 करोड़ की कमी रिवाइज्ड इक्विटी से पूरी होगी, और इसे पूरा करने के लिए फंड्स फिर से कहां से आएंगे? इनकम से. फंड्स फिर से कहां से आएंगे? इनकम से. अब इनकम से 30 और 4 34 करोड़ रुपए निकल गए, तो 100 में से यू माइनस 34, यू कम अप विद व्हाट? यू कम अप विद 56 करोड़. इफ 56 करोड़ में से यू विल माइनस ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंस. मान लो ऑपरेशनल एक्सपेंस है 6 करोड़ का, तो 6 करोड़ माइनस करने के बाद ये जो 50 करोड़ है ये किसको ट्रांसफर होंगे? गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को ट्रांसफर होंगे. बोले यार, अगर अब समझ नहीं आया तो मैं लिख के दे सकता हूं कि ये समझ आएगा भी नहीं. अगर अब समझ नहीं आया तो मैं लिख के दे सकता हूं कि समझ आएगा भी नहीं. इफ इट इज क्लियर गिव मी यस सर. अब मैं बताता हूं कि चेंज क्या है. आई विल क्विकली लेट यू नो व्हाट इज द चेंज इन द एंटायर स्टोरी. इफ इट इज क्लियर गिव मी यस सर. Do reply everyone so that we can move ahead. बिल्कुल एक बार दोबारा देखनी पड़ेगी वीडियो, समझ आ जाएगा. लास्ट पॉइंट क्या सर? अर्लियर आरबीआई वाज, अकॉर्डिंग टू इकोनॉमिक कैपिटल फ्रेमवर्क, आरबीआई वाज चेकिंग आउट द expected shortfall only if the confidence level is below 97.5. But now it is said this expected shortfall will be checked and countered, as well as reserves will be maintained even if the confidence level is below 99.5%. which means अगर confidence level 99.5% से कम है, उस बेसिस पे यू कैन कैलकुलेट द एक्सपेक्टेड शॉर्टफॉल और उस एक्सपेक्टेड शॉर्टफॉल वैल्यू को कैलकुलेट करो और उसे काउंटर करो विद द हेल्प ऑफ रीवैल्यूएशन बैलेंस. एंड इफ रीवैल्यूएशन बैलेंस कम है, वो पूरा नहीं कर पा रहा उसे, देन दी extra funds will come from realized equity, and realized equity will receive those funds from the income. पढ़ते हैं जरा, क्लियर हो जाएगा. पढ़ते हैं, इस पॉइंट को क्लियर हो जाएगा. प्लीज पे अटेंशन and read it with me. It says that central board can now choose to hold buffer anywhere between इसके बीच में भी 99.5% के बाद जैसे कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल 99.5% से कम होगा, RBI is allowed to hold the buffer. RBI is allowed to hold the buffer, which was earlier allowed when the confidence level was below 97.5% only. So while requirement of the economic capital for market risk may continue to assess using expected shortfall under stressed condition, central board would have flexibility to maintain market risk at any resilience level within the range 99.5 to 97.5 to maintain the risk provision according to the based on the assessment. Remember that previously this additional risk provisioning was allowed only if revaluation balances are lower than expected shortfall at 97.5% confidence level. But if the revaluation balance is lower than the expected shortfall even at 99.5 or 99.4% confidence level, then you can maintain the extra reserves ताकि इस revaluation buffer को आप strong बना के रखें so that it can counter this shortfall. ठीक है जी, क्लियर है. लास्ट पॉइंट इज विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द सरप्लस डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन पॉलिसी. दिस इज द लास्ट पॉइंट. एनी अवेलेबल इक्विटी ऑफ एक्सेस 7.5%, which says if you consider the available required or available realized equity, it should be 7.5% of asset, or I would say balance sheet, plus reserves for market risk. अगर आपका available realized equity इससे ज्यादा है, then the excess value will be transferred into income of RBI. So any available equity excess of 7.5% may be returned back from the contingency funds to income in case the available equity is below the lower bound. If it is below the lower bound, it means if the available realized equity is less than 4.5% of balance sheet or asset value, then no distribution. भैया हम कोई डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन नहीं करेंगे हमारी इनकम की, हम इनकम को यूज करेंगे in order to increase it to a value of 7.5% or above that. समझ आई ये बात. तो अगर आपका available realized equity is below the lower band. What is the lower band? That is 4.5%. What is the upper band? That is 7.5%. अगर इससे कम होगा तो पहले आप सारी इनकम को यूज करेंगे so that you maintain the realized equity. After maintaining the realized equity, अगर कुछ बचेगा then only it will be transferred. So this is the trend. 2013 में जो ट्रांसफर था that was 87,416, but over the period of time this transfer is increasing. In 2023-24 it was 2.11 lakh crores, and this time it is 2.6 lakh crore. This is the value of, I would say, distribution which has been done by RBI to the government of India. ठीक है. So RBI has transferred surplus of 2.69 lakh crore rupees. However, the transfer was expected to be around 3 lakh crores. But why this has dropped down? This has dropped down because earlier the range was 3.5 to 6.5. Now the range has been increased to 4.5 to 7.5. और इस range को increase करने की वजह से RBI has to increase the reserves, because of which the transfer is not 3 lakh crores, rather it is below 3 lakhs crore because of this revision. Revised framework, CRB range 4.5 to 7.5, increase contingent risk buffer to 7.5% for 2024-25, which has reduced the dividend. Otherwise, the dividend would have been close to 3 lakh crore rupees. I guess point clear है. एक एक चीज समझ आ गई. अगर एक एक चीज क्लियर हो गई, समझ आ गई, तो just give me yes sir so that we can conclude the discussion. Just give me yes sir so that we can conclude the discussion. एक बार दोबारा देखिएगा, everything will be clear to you. Just go through with the content once again, everything will be clear to you. इसके अलावा एक न्यूज है, ये रिपोर्ट आई थी वर्ल्ड्स वेल्दिएस्ट सिटी की, इसको आप पढ़ लेना. इट्स वेरी इजी, नो रॉकेट साइंस. खत्म करूंगा, अगली बार इसे कैरी फॉरवर्ड नहीं करूंगा. और हेनले एंड पार्टनर्स ने रिपोर्ट दी थी, तो हेनले एंड पार्टनर्स दे आर ऑलवेज इन न्यूज रिलेटेड टू द पासपोर्ट इंडेक्स. तो एक हेनले पासपोर्ट इंडेक्स अलग होता है, हेनले एंड पार्टनर्स का वर्ल्ड वेल्दिएस्ट सिटीज रिपोर्ट अलग है. तो वो दोनों रिपोर्ट्स मैंने मैच करके यहां पे दे दी, एक बार पढ़ लेना, खत्म कर लेना. इट हैज अ प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट इट कैन बी covered. It has a probability that it can be asked in phase 1. तो कवर कर दिया मैंने कवर कर दिया. सैनंदन, इट इज कवर्ड. आप चेक कर लीजिएगा, इट्स वेरी इजी कंटेंट, तो आप एक बार उसे पढ़िएगा और कवर कर लीजिएगा. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग गाइस. डोंट फॉरगेट टू हिट द लाइक बटन बिफोर लीविंग, एंड कमेंट सेक्शन में जरूर बताइएगा. कमेंट सेक्शन में मुझे 2 क्वेश्चंस के आंसर दीजिएगा. पहला क्वेश्चन, आरबीआई जो पेनल्टी चार्ज करता है, वो पेनल्टी आरबीआई के कौन से अकाउंट में जाती है? वो पेनल्टी आरबीआई के कौन से अकाउंट में जाती है? और क्या आरबीआई करेंसी प्रिंटिंग करने पे, और प्रिंटिंग का जो कॉस्ट है दैट इज वेरी मिनिमम, प्रिंटिंग कॉस्ट इज वेरी मिनिमम, एंड आरबीआई सेलिंग दैट करेंसी एट इट्स फेस वैल्यू. तो जब आरबीआई से अपने फेस वैल्यू पे बेचता है प्रिंटिंग कॉस्ट के बाद, द डिफरेंस बिटवीन फेस वैल्यू एंड प्रिंटिंग कॉस्ट, do this is RBI's profit? If yes, give me answer yes. If no, give me the reason why it is not the profit of RBI. ठीक है, तो ये 2 क्वेश्चन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जरूर आंसर दीजिएगा. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. विल कैच यू इन द नेक्स्ट सेशन. बाय बाय, टेक केयर, गुड लक, गॉड ब्लेस यू ऑल.